Every morning for hotel housekeeping staff in the US, opening a room after checkout feels like scratching a lottery ticket. You never really know what you are about to get. Most of the time, it is exactly what you expect. Dirty towels, wrinkled sheets, and an empty minibar. But every once in a while, that door opens to something completely different. And that is the moment when everyone just stops. Not because they are confused, but because they are trying to figure out if they just walked into the wrong room. Because not everyone forgets a phone charger or a toothbrush. Some guests leave behind things so unbelievable, you honestly cannot imagine how a normal person forgets them by accident. And today we are taking a look at the strangest things ever left behind in hotel rooms across the United States. And trust me, some of these make absolutely no sense. Story 1. The emotional support bonsai housekeeping opens the door, and this time, something feels off. At first, it looks normal. Then they notice it, sitting right there, by the window, like it was meant to be found. It is not broken, not hidden, bright green leaves, damp soil, and cared for with a level of attention that honestly looks better than some real-life relationships. Everyone just stands there for a second, trying to understand what they are looking at. Then the questions start, very serious questions, like, should we water it? If we water it, who is responsible if it dies? One person even suggests giving it a name, for emotional attachment. And just when everyone thinks it cannot get stranger, it does. The phone rings at the front desk. The voice on the other end sounds nervous, maybe even a little panicked, asking if the bonsai is okay, if it has enough sunlight, if anyone touched it, because that tree was not supposed to be left behind. And that is when everyone realizes this is going to be one of those stories. To be fair, some guests never forget their phone, but somehow they forget this. And somehow, that bonsai received better care during its stay than many VIP guests ever have. Story 2. The stuffed alligator with sunglasses. Housekeeping opens the door, and for a second, nobody moves. At first, the room looks normal. Then they see it, right next to the minibar, leaning back, like it paid for the room and extended its stay. It is nearly life-size, very realistic. A stuffed alligator, wearing oversized sunglasses, looking exactly like someone who just survived 3 straight days of partying in Miami and is now quietly reflecting on every bad life choice. The room goes silent. No screaming, no running, just one person finally whispering, "Is it looking at us?" No one touches it. No one wants to be the one who moves the alligator. Everyone just stands there for a second, trying to understand what kind of guest brings this. Instead of calling a manager or security, the hotel makes a decision. They keep it. They move the alligator to the lobby, right by the front door, facing outward. So every guest has to walk past it. For days, the alligator just sits there, silent, watching, judging outfits, judging posture, possibly judging hotel choices. No sign, no explanation, just vibes. And that is when everyone realizes this is not a mascot. This is accountability. Strangely, no mascot in hotel history has ever made guests feel so immediately and deeply judged, just for walking through the door. Story 3. The high-tech prosthetic leg. Housekeeping opens the door, and this time, nothing seems wrong. At first, it looks completely normal. Bed made, room quiet. Then they notice it, lying right there, next to the bed, placed so neatly that everyone assumes it is just some expensive sports equipment. Then someone looks closer, and the room goes weirdly quiet. It is not gym gear. It is not medical supplies. It is a high-tech prosthetic leg. Sleek, modern, shiny, looking more like something from a sci-fi movie than something you forget in a hotel room. Everyone just stands there for a second, and the same very stupid but very human question hits all of them at once. How does someone leave and forget an actual part of their own body? No one knows what to do, so they do the only thing that feels respectful. They take it down to lost and found. They stand it upright, carefully, like an art exhibit. No sign, no explanation, just the leg. A few hours later, the owner returns. No panic, no speech. They walk in, point at the leg, pick it up, reattach it, and then they walk out, in complete silence. like none of this ever happened. And that is when everyone realizes some guests forget chargers, some forget shoes, and some people forget explaining things they absolutely do not want to explain. Story 4. A live turtle in the bathtub. Housekeeping pulls back the shower curtain, and this time, something is already there. At first, nobody understands what they are seeing. Then it clicks, sitting in the bathtub, completely still. A live turtle. Not hiding, not panicking, just soaking. Vibing like this is its personal spa retreat. There is a long pause. No one screams. No one moves. Just a quiet moment where everyone agrees this is not normal. After the shock wears off, the team focuses on the most urgent task. Naming the turtle. They land on Speedy because nothing is funnier than giving the slowest creature on Earth the fastest possible name. Then the serious debate begins. Do we call a vet? Do we call someone official? Or do we just let Speedy enjoy the rest of the vacation? Speedy is moved into a clean container. Fresh water, proper light, even protection from drafts. Honestly, better accommodations than some guests get. For a few short days, Speedy lives in luxury. Calm, unbothered, absolutely thriving. Final conclusion. During that stay, that turtle was taken better care of and lived more luxuriously than quite a few humans who had stayed at that hotel. Story 5. A box of live tarantulas. Housekeeping steps into the room, and immediately, something feels wrong. At first, everything looks normal. Too normal. Then they feel it. A slight vibration under their feet. Like the floor is on a massage setting. They blame the air conditioner or the ventilation until they see it. A cardboard box, neatly placed in the corner, and the box is shaking. Someone opens the lid, and the mood changes instantly. From curiosity to pure panic. Inside the box are live tarantulas, hairy, massive, and collectively larger than the entire team's combined courage. Everyone backs away at the exact same time. Full survival mode. No screaming, just quiet, fast retreat. One employee tries to lighten the mood, says maybe this is a very realistic web developer conference. The joke does not help, but it does give everyone just enough time to breathe. There is no debate, no discussion, no second look. The hotel chooses the most aggressive solution possible. They seal off the room, block the area, and treat it like a scene no one ever wants to revisit. And that is when everyone realizes some guests forget chargers, some forget pets, and some people check out without explaining their army of spiders. Story 6. A high-end lightsaber. Housekeeping opens the door, and at first, nothing feels unusual. There is a long metal tube lying neatly on the table. Looks harmless, a little nerdy, like a forgotten kid's toy. Then someone gets curious. They press the button. The entire hallway lights up. A familiar glow, a very familiar hum, and everyone freezes. This is not a toy. This is a high-end lightsaber. Bright light, perfect sound effects. Powered by the full emotional weight of a massive movie franchise called Star Wars. No one says a word. No discussion. Just immediate understanding. A short Jedi battle breaks out behind the scenes. One person wields the lightsaber. Another defends with a mop. Like it is a completely legitimate weapon. The fight is brief, very intense, and ends instantly when a manager appears. The lightsaber is powered down, placed carefully back into its box, like none of this ever happened. And everyone silently agrees on one thing. This clearly belonged to a very civilized and extremely movie-obsessed individual. Story 7. A bag of puppet heads. Housekeeping opens the closet for a final check, and immediately regret sets in. This is not a jacket, not shoes, not a suitcase. It is a large bag, tightly tied, waiting. Someone opens it, and the room instantly transforms into a low-budget horror movie. Inside are puppet heads. Multiple, every expression imaginable. Wide smiles, blank stares, eyes that look a little too aware, all of them facing outward. Nobody says anything for a long moment. Everyone's imagination runs completely wild. One person jokes this is ritual equipment for something cursed. Another voice, much more serious, suggests checking under the bed one more time. Just in case, no one wants to be alone in that room. Not even for a second. A few hours later, the phone rings. The truth finally comes out. The owner explains he is a traveling puppeteer. On tour, completely normal. Very professional. The tension fades instantly. Relief everywhere. But still, no one on that team ever wanted to look at those heads again. Ever. Story 8, a collection of board game pieces. Housekeeping spots a small box sitting on the table. Nothing dramatic. Nothing alarming. They open it, and immediately, something feels off. Inside are game pieces. Very familiar ones. A Monopoly token, a clue pipe, a few triangular Trivial Pursuit wedges. The problem is, there is no board, no box, no rulebook, just pieces. Random, incomplete. Everyone stares at them for a moment, trying to make sense of it. And slowly, the same theory forms in every mind. This was not forgotten. This was collected. A trophy box, carefully curated, taken from different places, different homes, different family game nights. Somewhere out there, families sat around tables, arguing politely, setting everything up, only to realize one piece was missing forever. Games never finished, friendships tested, tables flipped emotionally. And this person, this national board game villain, just kept moving. City to city, hotel to hotel, quietly stealing exactly one piece from every game. Fueled by nothing but chaos and spite. And that is when everyone realizes some people collect souvenirs, some collect memories, and some people collect the power to ruin game night from hundreds of miles away. Story 9, a personal travel journal. In the hotel industry, there is an unspoken rule. Everyone knows it. If you find a guest's personal journal, you do not read it. At least not seriously. Housekeeping spots a beautiful leather-bound notebook lying on the desk. Everyone understands what they are supposed to do. Pick it up, close it, send it to Lost and Found. But like all rules, there is a very small exception. Curiosity. They only mean to skim it. Just a glance, maybe looking for a name, a phone number, something helpful. Instead, they get pulled in. Handwritten pages, trips, meals with strange flavors, unfamiliar cities, brief encounters with people who mattered for a moment. Nothing shocking. No secrets. Just very human experiences written honestly, quietly. No jokes this time. No commentary. Just reading. In the end, the journal is carefully packaged, protected, mailed back to its owner, along with a polite note thanking them for sharing their journey. And that is when everyone realizes sometimes what gets left behind is not just an object. Sometimes it is a surprisingly beautiful piece of a person. Story 10, the upgraded tarantula version. Housekeeping steps into the room, and this time there is no subtlety. They feel it immediately. A steady vibration, coming from the corner, like someone hit a small engine under the floor. No guessing, no denial. Everyone knows where this is going. The box is spotted almost instantly. Same setup, same placement, except now, the box is shaking very clearly. Someone lifts the lid, and panic levels up. Inside is not one spider, not two, but an entire collection of tarantulas, moving, together, with unsettling coordination. The whole team steps back at the same time. Pure survival instinct. No discussion. No bravery. Just biology taking over. Silence fills the room. Heavy silence. The kind where your brain starts writing resignation letters. One person tries anyway. Very calmly. Repeats the familiar line. Maybe this is a very immersive web developer conference. Nobody laughs, but at least nobody screams anymore. The decision is made fast. No debate. No paperwork. The room is sealed, locked down, mentally quarantined, and unofficially labeled as a place that should never be mentioned again. Not in meetings, not in stories, and absolutely not in future conversations. Ever. Story 11. A professional clown costume. Housekeeping opens the closet for a final check. And immediately, the mood changes. Hanging neatly inside is a full clown costume. Not tossed, not crumpled, organized. Intentional. Oversized shoes lined up below. A makeup kit nearby. Face paint inside. Unfinished. Like someone just paused. This is not a kid's birthday clown. This is not balloons and party tricks. This outfit says someone is very serious about being a clown. The room goes quiet. Too quiet. The guesses start immediately. A performance, an event, or something that absolutely should not be happening in a hotel hallway at midnight. Because in American culture, clowns are no longer harmless. They are not fun. They are symbols of stories people tell right before they check behind the shower curtain. The costume is packed up carefully. Very carefully. No sudden movements. But nobody wants to be alone in that room. Not even for a minute. And no one is entirely sure. The clown really left. Story 12. Snow skis in Miami. Housekeeping only needs 1 second. That is all. Leaning against the wall right next to the window are snow skis. Long, serious, winter-focused. Outside the window, palm trees, bright sun, pure Miami. The image hits instantly, like seeing a polar bear standing in line to buy sunscreen. No one speaks at first, because the contradiction is too strong. Cold weather equipment, tropical reality. The theories start immediately. Maybe the guest booked the wrong trip, thought they were going to Aspen, woke up in Florida. Another theory suggests this is some kind of advanced mental training exercise, preparing the mind for disappointment. No one really knows, and no explanation feels correct. The skis are taken down to lost and found, placed upright, displayed carefully, like an exhibit in a museum of terrible travel decisions. No sign, no label, just vibes. And that is when everyone agrees. Sometimes luggage gets lost. Sometimes plans change. And sometimes Google Maps deserves a second look. Story 13. A handmade luxury saddle. Housekeeping sees it and instantly knows. This is not ordinary. Placed neatly in the corner is a saddle. Handcrafted. Thick leather. Exquisite stitching. Polished metal details that quietly scream expensive. This is not something you buy on impulse. Not a souvenir, not an accident. This is the kind of object that makes everyone stop and stare. The guessing starts immediately. A few $1,000s, no more than that. Definitely more than a week of room charges. Everyone suddenly becomes an expert. Then the most important question appears. Equal parts ridiculous and logical. Did this person forget the saddle? Or did they forget they owned a horse? No one has an answer. No explanation feels correct. In the end, the hotel makes a choice. They place the saddle in the lobby, standing upright, perfectly lit, a temporary art piece, elegant, silent, judgment-free, and it just sits there, like a quiet reminder that some people live on a level where forgetting a saddle is just a minor oversight. Story 14. An industrial-sized pickle jar. Housekeeping sees it and almost freezes. Sitting against the wall in the middle of the room is a jar of pickles. Not a normal jar, a massive one. The kind you expect in a restaurant kitchen. Not personal luggage. This is not a grab one for your sandwich situation. This is a jar that could feed an entire hungry baseball team. Everyone just stares, quietly. Respectfully, the theories start flying. Emergency food for the apocalypse. A very specific and very personal form of emotional therapy. Bulk buying gone too far. No one knows, and no one asks. But there is one thing the entire team agrees on. Immediately, without hesitation. No one is opening that lid, because nobody wants to be responsible if whatever smell lives inside permanently alters the hotel atmosphere, or the human spirit. In the end, the jar is moved into storage. Carefully, slowly, like it might react. The mystery remains intact, unanswered. Sealed, just like so many questionable human decisions. Preserved forever, in brine. Story 15. 3 Viking helmets. Housekeeping steps into the room and instantly knows. The night before was not normal. Sitting right on the bed are 3 Viking helmets. Large, horned. The historically inaccurate kind everyone agrees is wrong, but absolutely perfect for partying. Just looking at them tells the whole story. The minibar gone. Without mercy, curiosity beats common sense immediately. One helmet goes on, then another, then another. 3 staff members stand in front of the mirror, shoulders back, voices drop instinctively. Suddenly, everyone sounds like they are about to march into battle. For a few brief minutes, the hotel hallway becomes a budget version of Valhalla. Mighty Norse warriors roam the land, except they are pushing cleaning carts and wielding mops instead of axes. Eventually, reality returns. The helmets are collected, sent down to Lost and Found. But the moment stays, because not every workday lets you feel like you took part in a legendary conquest, armed with nothing but a mop. Story 16. A Christmas tree in the middle of summer. Housekeeping steps into the room and pauses, just for a second, to make sure time still works, because standing in the middle of the room is a Christmas tree, fully decorated. Blinking lights, shiny ornaments, glittering tinsel. A perfectly placed star on top. Outside, peak summer heat, sun blazing. Reality immediately collapses. No one speaks at first. Confusion spreads quietly. One person wonders if they slipped into the wrong time zone. Another seriously asks if this is a parallel universe. Someone finally offers the most reasonable explanation available. Christmas in July, but taken extremely seriously. No one knows what happened in that room. No backstory. No clues. Just vibes. Cleaning does not feel like housekeeping. It feels like a gentle exorcism. Each decoration is removed carefully, slowly, as if moving too fast might anger the Christmas spirit. For being evicted in the middle of summer. Lights off, ornaments boxed, tree gone. And when it is finally over, everyone agrees on one thing. Some guests bring luggage. Some bring chaos, and some bring Christmas. 6 months early, with absolutely no explanation. Story 17. A giant inflatable unicorn. Housekeeping tries to enter the room, and immediately realizes that is not really possible, because almost the entire space is occupied by a mythical creature. A massive inflatable unicorn lies across the room, so big it blocks the window. So long it feels like it booked the space in advance. This is no longer a pool toy. This is a serious issue of space management and basic mobility. No one laughs at first. Everyone is just trying to figure out, how do you remove a unicorn without getting it stuck in the doorway, or the hallway, or the elevator? The discussion is brief, painful, inevitable. They start letting the air out. A long hissing sound fills the room. Slow, continuous, like the sigh of a legendary creature losing its magic. The unicorn slowly collapses, gracefully, sadly, folding in on itself until it is just vinyl on the floor. And just like that, the room returns to normal. Walls visible, space restored. Reality back online. Everyone stands there for a second, amused and strangely sad, like they just said goodbye to a very large party. In the most literal way possible. Story 18. A 3-tier cake. Housekeeping stops the moment they see it. Not fear, not confusion, a moral crisis. Sitting on the small table in the middle of the room is a cake. Not just any cake. A perfect 3-tier cake. Elaborately decorated. Carefully placed sugar flowers. Frosting so smooth it looks more like a display piece than actual food. No one touches it. No one even breathes too close. A massive question hangs in the air. Is this cake meant for something important? A wedding, a birthday, a life event? And if someone touches it, are they committing a crime against the universe itself? The debate takes time. Very serious time. Finally, the front desk calls the guest. The voice on the other end sounds completely calm, almost bored. Oh, that's just a practice cake for a show. You can eat it. And in that exact moment, everything changes. The tension evaporates. The cake becomes approachable, friendly, slices are cut, plates appear, staff gather around, laughing. Relieved, they eat like people who just survived an intense ethical trial. Because nothing bonds a team quite like permission. Story 19, a mysterious coded notebook. Housekeeping spots the notebook and immediately suspects. This is a spy movie. Sitting on the desk is a thick journal. Normal cover. Normal weight. Nothing suspicious until it is opened. Inside, there are no words, no sentences, no grocery lists, only symbols. Numbers, arrows, sequences. Page after page of what looks like military-level encryption. Within minutes, the entire team reaches the same conclusion. This guest is not normal. A brief decoding attempt begins. Very amateur. They flip pages, compare symbols, try to find patterns, and then they stop. Because no one in that room is qualified to crack an international conspiracy. Imagination takes over. Someone whispers about undercover agents. Someone else imagines the FBI showing up any minute. The room feels tense, important, danger adjacent. Hours later, the guest returns. Calm, normal, asks for the notebook. The truth comes out. Quickly, painfully. It is not a code. Not secrets. Not espionage. It is just a personal notebook for a very intense hobby. Advanced level sudoku. Hollywood disappears instantly. The tension evaporates, leaving behind a few slightly disappointed people who really thought they were about to be part of something important. Story 20, a chef's spice box. Housekeeping opens the door and immediately knows something is different. Not perfume, not fast food, but a deep, rich aroma. The kind that fills the room before you even see the source. On the table sits a box, carefully packed, respectfully placed. Inside, rare spices, bright red saffron, fragrant cardamom, whole cinnamon sticks. Small jars, handwritten labels, like something straight out of a professional kitchen. The room transforms instantly. From hotel room to miniature spice market, people walking by slow down, take a breath, and quietly appreciate whatever is happening here. A few hours later, the front desk phone rings. The voice on the other end is near panicked, asking again and again if the box is still there, if it is intact, if anyone touched it. Turns out, the guest is a chef, and he never trusts spices wherever he travels. The box is returned with maximum respect, carefully, gently, like something fragile and deeply personal. Because some passions are not just hobbies. They are treated with more care than ordinary luggage. Story 21, a medical student skeleton. The jump scare happens instantly. Housekeeping turns back toward the desk and freezes, sitting upright on the chair, back straight, hands neatly placed, is a full-size human skeleton. No one speaks, hearts race, brains shut down. Someone seriously considers closing the door and pretending this room never existed. After a deep breath, they look closer. Really look. No blood, no chaos, just plastic. The truth reveals itself. This is not a crime scene. It is an anatomical model, a study skeleton. The room belongs to a medical student, someone who brought their study partner along to prep for exams. And honestly, thinking about it, this skeleton is the perfect guest. No talking, no noise. No room service calls. No extra towel requests. And absolutely no complaints about the Wi-Fi. If the hotel ever had a loyalty program for perfectly quiet guests, this skeleton would have reached top-tier status a long time ago. Story 22. An unfinished knitting project. The room feels quiet the moment housekeeping steps in. Not tense. Not strange. Just quiet. There are no odd objects. No surprises. No jump scares. By the window on a chair sits a small knitting bag, a few balls of yarn, knitting needles, and one unfinished sock. Everything is placed neatly, carefully, like someone just stepped away for a moment, like they were about to come right back. The feeling is different. Not funny, Not alarming, just soft. A little heavy. Housekeeping moves more slowly, speaks more quietly, almost like the room might notice. A few hours later, the front desk phone rings. The voice on the other end sounds cheerful, laughing, says they knitted themselves into such a tight schedule they forgot everything else. The sock is packaged, the yarn included, mailed back carefully. It becomes a small pause in the day, a quiet moment, because not everything left behind is strange or careless. Sometimes, it is just something deeply human. Story 23, A Sea of Lego. The moment housekeeping opens the door, they understand. They are facing the shared pain of all humanity. The entire floor is covered. Thousands of Lego pieces, bright, colorful, sparkling under the lights like a trap designed by someone who hates feet. There is no safe path. No neutral zone. No mercy. The goal instantly changes. This is no longer cleaning. This is survival. Movement strategy is adjusted. Every step is slow, careful, calculated. Like a bomb disposal unit in an action movie. One person presses against the wall. Another barely breathes. Nobody rushes. Nobody jokes. This is serious. Time stretches. Piece by piece. Brick by brick. Collected one at a time. After more than an hour, the floor finally reappears. Peace returns. Normal reality resumes. One staff member exhales deeply, looks around, and delivers the quote of the day. At least nobody stepped on one. And sometimes, in this world, that alone counts as a major victory. Story 24, A High School Yearbook. Housekeeping finds it wedged between the mattress and the bed frame, like someone tried to hide a memory. The cover is worn, soft at the edges. Clearly not new, clearly important. Inside, photos from decades ago. Big hair, awkward smiles. Fashion choices no one would defend today. Handwritten messages fill the pages. Never change, best summer ever, don't forget us. A few pages in, and an entire teenage era comes rushing back. So specific, so familiar, even to people who were never there. A few days later, the owner returns. A man in his 50s. Calm, thoughtful. He explains he brought the yearbook on the trip on purpose. Just to look through it. To remember who he was before life got busy. Before responsibilities took over. And somehow, in the process of revisiting his past, he forgot it. Left it behind in a random hotel room. Literally leaving his younger self behind, the yearbook is returned. Carefully, respectfully, and it carries a quiet, comforting feeling. That memories, no matter how old, somehow always find their way home. Story 25, A Talking Parrot. Housekeeping steps into the room and immediately hears room service. Everyone freezes. Because for the first few seconds, it sounds completely normal. Too normal. Then they realize no one is there. Room service. Again, clear, confident, perfect pronunciation. Sitting on top of the minibar is a parrot. Calm, alert, looking around the room with the confidence of someone who absolutely paid for the place. The parrot says it again. Room service. Confusion lasts about half a second. Then everyone starts laughing. This is not a guest. This is a professional. It does not take long to give it a name. Captain Squawk. For the rest of the morning, Captain Squawk becomes the hotel's unofficial entertainer. Greeting staff. Greeting guests. Announcing room service like a seasoned employee who takes pride in the job. People stop walking. They smile. They laugh. They forget whatever they were annoyed about. Captain Squawk is only there for a short time. But somehow, that shift becomes unforgettable. And strangely, it is also the rare day with zero guest complaints. Turns out, sometimes all a hotel needs is good service. And a parrot who really commits to the role. Story 26, Giant Bunny Slippers. Housekeeping sees them and starts laughing immediately. Under the bed, sit a pair of bunny slippers. Not normal ones. Enormous. So big they look less like footwear and more like fuzzy boats. The ears droop. The eyes stare blankly. The whole thing looks like it walked straight out of a cartoon, made specifically for very stressed adults. Nobody says it out loud, but everyone thinks the same thing. And then, the inevitable happens. One staff member slips them on, stands up, takes a few steps down the hallway. The sound is incredible. Slow, heavy, extremely serious shuffling for an action that is not serious at all. That is it. The entire team loses it. Laughing, crying, forgetting completely that they are at work. For a few brief minutes, nothing else matters. Not schedules, not checklists, not time. Eventually, the slippers are taken off. Put away. Work resumes. But the moment stays. That small burst of joy lingers in the air. Because sometimes, all it takes to make a day feel lighter is something this ridiculous. Story 27, Scottish bagpipes. Housekeeping sees them and instantly feels threatened. Leaning against a chair is a full set of Scottish bagpipes. Leather bag, wooden pipes, every component present. Fully operational. Nobody needs to touch it. Nobody needs to test it. Everyone in the room knows exactly what would happen if someone tried to play that thing inside a hotel. There is a brief moment of complete silence. Everyone looks at each other, and without discussion, a unanimous decision is reached. Absolutely no one is allowed to try it. Not out of cultural respect, out of concern for the auditory safety of the entire floor. Possibly the building, possibly the city. The tension hangs in the air, then one person breaks it. Calmly. Reasonably, at least it's not a full drum set. Relief spreads instantly. Everyone exhales. The bagpipes are packed up. Carefully. Respectfully. Silently. They are sent straight to Lost and Found, where they can rest. Quietly. Without temptation. It is the best possible outcome. For the staff. For the guests. And most importantly, for everyone's ears. Story 28, 10 bowling pins no ball. Housekeeping steps into the room and immediately thinks, this has to be a joke. In the corner against the wall, stand 10 bowling pins. Perfectly arranged, a flawless triangle. So precise it looks like someone measured it with a laser. Not a single pin is crooked. No scuff marks on the floor. No signs of movement. And most importantly, no bowling ball, just the pins. Standing there, silent. Extremely serious. Everyone stares, waiting for context that never arrives. There is no evidence of a game. No noise complaints. No logical explanation. Nothing, naturally. The imagination takes over. One person suggests this might be a very private meditation ritual. Another suspects a conceptual installation artist who abandoned the project halfway through. Someone quietly wonders if the ball is watching from somewhere unseen. Eventually, the pins are cleared away. Carefully, respectfully, like they might mean something, but the question stays. Who set them up, why they did it, and where the ball went? To this day, no one knows, and somehow, that makes it worse. Story 29, an ice chest with strange liquids. Housekeeping opens the door, and immediately feels it. Something is off. Sitting in the middle of the room is a large travel ice chest. Not tucked away. Not hidden. Placed with confidence. Someone lifts the lid and instantly regrets it. Inside are glass containers. Multiple, unlabeled. Each filled with liquid. Different colors. Clear, cloudy, slightly alarming. The room changes. Fast. This no longer feels like a hotel. It feels like a lab. A temporary one. No one touches anything. No one asks questions out loud. The tension grows for reasons no one can explain. Theories form immediately. Secret experiments, dangerous chemicals, something you definitely do not want to be responsible for. The team backs away. Slowly, carefully, like sudden movement might activate something. Management is called. Distance is maintained. Respectfully, fearfully. A few hours later, the front desk phone rings. The voice on the other end is frantic, begging, "Please do not move the cooler. Please tell me it is still there." The truth finally comes out. The guest is a scientist, traveling for work. The cooler contains biological research samples. Perfectly legitimate. Very important. The room exhales. Collectively. Not a crime. Not a disaster. Just science. Still, very unsettling to look at. Story 30, an unfinished DIY robot. The room does not look like a place to rest. It looks like a startup garage that just ran out of funding. On the table sits a robot, half-built. Exposed wires, loose screws, open circuit boards. Tools scattered everywhere. One glance tells the whole story. An unfinished tech dream. Maybe the guest truly believed one quiet night in a hotel would be enough to build world-changing artificial intelligence. Housekeeping just stands there, wondering, did this moment mean giving up? Or did the robot simply run out of battery? Everything stopped halfway. No final step. No last screw. No triumphant power on. No startup beep. No dramatic awakening. Just silence. The quiet kind. The kind ambition makes when it runs out of time and checkout is at 11. The robot is taken down to lost and found. Carefully. Like a modern art installation. A perfect symbol of humanity. Full of dreams. Packed with components. And always just a little short on time. Story 31, the briefcase that made everyone dream of a new life. The room is almost finished. Almost done. Then someone notices it. A leather briefcase. Placed neatly on the desk. Quiet, confident. Someone opens it. And for one brief moment, every heart in the room stops. Inside are stacks of cash. Thick ones. Perfectly lined up. The kind of money you only ever see in movies. For a few seconds, no one speaks because everyone is busy living a different life. Quitting the job, buying a house, buying a car, typing a resignation email today. Then reality kicks back in. Hard. The color looks off. The paper feels too new, too clean, and then someone sees it. Right there on one bill, a familiar little face. The Monopoly dog. It is fake. All of it. Movie prop money, the kind used for films, or games, or crushing dreams efficiently. No private island. No yacht. No new life. The briefcase is closed. Quietly. Sent down to lost and found. And that is the most painful part. The richest feeling anyone in that room has ever experienced. Lasted less than 10 seconds. So that brings us to the end of our journey through hotel rooms that looked completely ordinary, but secretly held stories no one ever expected. Here's the real question. Have you ever found something so strange, so valuable, or so confusing that you just had to pause for a few seconds to process it? Maybe not a briefcase of money, maybe not a talking parrot, but chances are, at some point you've stumbled into a moment that made you laugh and feel awkward at the exact same time. That's why these stories work, because they're real. They remind us that everyone gets rushed. Everyone gets distracted. And sometimes, we accidentally leave behind a small piece of our life in the most unexpected place. If you've ever had an experience like that, share it in the comments. Hit like if this felt familiar. And subscribe to keep hearing more stories that are strange, relatable, and very human.